Carla, thanks so much for joining us on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Matthew, I'm so happy to be with you. It's a great day.
It is a great day. I mean, especially if that big, beautiful bill passes in the Senate, right?
Right. And I think the Senate will get it done. I know I'm hearing rumors of, this senator or that isn't going to vote for it, but I don't think these senators are actually going to cause the American people to have the largest tax increase in the history of our nation. I just don't believe it. But I do believe, Matthew, that they're going to try to get less spending because we know the Senate is more conservative than the House is now.
Yeah, exactly. It's great to see these things happening and people becoming, realizing that it's the will of the people that really has to be the driving force of all of that. And we see that under President Trump. Let's quickly touch on the Boulder, Colorado situation. I mean,
Yeah.
do you think that ICE, we already know that ICE is going full tilt, but now the public
Yeah.
opinion, I think, is starting to swell more and be like, hey, let's really do this, guys. Yes, you're doing it, but let's amp it up even more, right?
Matthew, we have to have these deportations and they have to accelerate. This is what the American people voted for. It's an 80-20 issue. The American people want our streets to be safe. They do not want to have these radicals on our street killing people and injuring people and screaming free Palestine. They're going into restaurants across the country and harassing patrons and trying to put them on the spot and put them on film. They're burning people with Molotov cocktails. That man had 16 more Molotov cocktails. He wanted to injure or kill more people, especially people that support the Jewish hostages being held today by Hamas. We know that this is the radicalization. They want to globalize the intifada, and that's on their posters right now, that it says globalize the intifada. What that means is they want a global caliphate. And some of these people are LGBTQ. They don't understand that they'll be the first that they will take their lives. They want a global caliphate, Sharia law across the world. Well, that is the goal of the Islamists. They want that global caliphate. They want to retake those European countries that they controlled. They want to take the UK, Sweden, where they are growing in population. And these are not peaceful people. Many of them are radical and they want to kill anyone that is non-Muslim or doesn't worship even the same way they do. When we look at what's happening in Texas and now Colorado, New York, it's really concerning. And so thank God President Trump is in the White House. Tom Homan is on this with ICE. But I asked Tom Homan, I said, could we go a little faster? He laughed. He's on it. His team is on it. But these radical judges, Matthew, are making it really hard to do the people's will.
Exactly. So, as Representative Ronnie Jackson said the other day, the American people voted for Donald J. Trump, not activist judges. To your point, when it comes to illegal immigration, right? Whether it's somebody that
Yeah.
is a radical Muslim, whether it's somebody that is from wherever they are, whether it's Central America, South America, Asia, regardless, if
Right.
someone's here illegally, they got to go. And then, secondly, I want to bring up a point. When in Europe, if you were to say what you just said, and say you were on a London international news show and you said what you just said, I wonder if you'd get a knock at your door from the UK authorities. I mean, that's how bad it is when it comes to illegal immigration and migrants there. And that more is specifically along the lines of more of a religious situation in Europe. Here, we had the situation in Colorado. But then we also have other people that aren't really, they're just doing crimes, not in the name of a religion. But, so we just really have a lot of cleaning up to do, don't we?
Well, we do. It is really shocking what's happening in Europe and the UK, like you said, with the suppression of free speech. And there are hundreds of people jailed every month in the UK for what they post online and what they say if it's not complying with the LGBTQ agenda or the Muslim agenda, then they're in trouble. And I have spoken on, the UK channels, European channels. I'll give you an example, BBC. And when I begin to state the facts, they shout me down. They stop me from speaking. Just like if you're talking on a channel like MSNBC and they'll shout or speak over you so that people can't hear the actual facts, because facts are stubborn things. They just are. But what we see is the suppression of free speech. Thank God Donald Trump was elected and saved free speech along with Elon Musk's help with X in the Western world. And we do see places where there's more free speech. I'll just give you some examples. Hungary, where I was just at CPAC Hungary, they're fighting for free speech. Poland just had a conservative elected this week, and he is going to help save free speech and the borders in Poland because Donald Tusk will now not be able to instigate or implement, sorry, the globalist agenda that he would have installed if they had the leftist candidate win this week. Today, unfortunately, South Korea had an election, and it looks like the leftist is going to win. If the leftist has won, he will be closer to China and try to probably reunify with North Korea. And so it will be a hard time for South Korea because of if this leftist does take office, which it does look like he probably will. It's a tragedy, and it seems like the Chinese Communist Party is actually controlling their election systems, the NEC there in South Korea. So there's a lot of things that have to change in order to have free elections. So we're not the only country here in the United States that's fighting for fair and free elections where one person, one vote without the irregularities.
To your point, the reform election or the runoff election in Poland, a great victory there by that leader. I actually posted on True Social another victory for the free world. And specifically there, the 21 million people that voted, it was all paper ballots and it was all counted in 8 hours with an election result in Poland.
And isn't that what we won here, Matthew? That's what we won in the United States. And unfortunately, like the early votes that were coming in South Korea, the ones that were coming in from overseas voters, 98.5% for the leftist candidate. Now, have you ever heard of any county that is 98.5% for one candidate? Because I haven't. I think that the fix was in, unfortunately.
And we know that that happened in 2020 right here in the United States of America.
Right.
I mean, by far the swing states went to President Trump the first go around. All the swing states somehow go the other way in 2020, and then they all come back again for President Trump. And I was watching just yesterday, Carla, some old rally videos because we're about to celebrate 10 years here at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Amazing.
And in that campaign
Congratulations.
season, thank you so much. And thank you to all of our owners and the management here as well. But in 2019, you know, the leading up to the 2020 election, the same excitement and the same huge crowds that we saw back in 15 and 16 that we just saw in 23 and 24 were happening in 19 and 20. It's the same majority of the entire United States. So thank God for it to be too big to rig this last go around. Carla Sands, thank you so much again for joining us here.
You're so welcome. It's great to be with you, Matthew. And thank you to Michael Watley, who helped to protect that vote with an army of good lawyers. And I just want to say again, Matthew, just my heart goes out to the victims there in Boulder. God bless them. And I'm so sorry it happened. And we have to get these illegals out. There's no question.
Amen. Carla Sands with America First Policy Institute. Thank you so much for your insight and joining us here on Right Side.
Thanks.